All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of AppSource Central. Here we discuss Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central ISVs, and we get to know their apps on Microsoft AppSource. Today, I have an ISV from Belgium. They are quite
Yes.
a busy ISV. They have quite a few apps on AppSource, and we'll talk through their app portfolio, get to know them a little bit better, and we'll dive into one of their, I guess, either most popular app or most selling app. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
And yeah, so here today I have Jens and Bernd from Dynavision. Thank you both for joining the session. I appreciate your time. I know it's, again, I have to say this each time because we have a huge time difference. So thank you for accommodating it. Yeah, thanks again for joining the show. Can
Sure.
you please briefly, whichever you want to start, can you please
Maybe.
briefly introduce yourself and a little bit about your
All
company as well?
right. Sure. Maybe I'll kick off,
Sure.
Bent, if that's okay with you. So we're happy, of course, to be here. We're even missing an important Champions League match for this podcast, but anyway, we're happy to be here and to talk about a bit about Dynavision. So my name is Jens. I'm a partner manager at Dynavision, where I'm responsible for sales, marketing, of course, partner management, and go-to-market for our apps globally. And as mentioned, we are also going to talk about one of our apps that was the bestseller last year, also globally. And then I guess it's over to Bent.
Yeah, thank you, Jens. I'm the colleague of Jens and I'm the product owner. So I'm in the daily business, I'm working with the developers together who are making the apps. So I'm more on the functional slash technical side of the story.
Yeah, we want to give you a good mix of the sales talk that no one believes, and then the real talk that Bent is going to give about the functional and technical
Yeah,
side of our
that's
apps.
great combination. Yeah, thank you for both joining again. Can you? Okay, I'll. So this kind of questions, I guess. What? Thank you. Can you talk about Dynavision a little bit? How Dynavision was born, and what is the focus of Dynavision? Can you just talk through
All right.
brief introduction of
Yeah,
Dynavision itself?
maybe I'll take
And
this one,
before that,
Bent.
I want to say sorry. Before that, I like the name of the company. It has a bit of a nostalgia in it. So the Navision word is in there.
Exactly.
So
But
yeah,
we're more
let me
dynamic
insert that
than
comment.
Navision. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe to
Sorry
give
to
you a bit of a
interrupt.
background, no worries, a bit of background on Dynavision. So it's actually a joint venture that was created about 3 years ago between two BC partners that noticed that they were creating the same types of customizations over and over and over again, and they were quite sick and tired of doing those same things. Those BC partners also both had like two big solutions back in the day for Navision and BC, like two big monoliths focused on the drink sector and on distribution, but they weren't future-proof anymore. So they decided to build a new portfolio by joining the forces. So they both put all their IP in there. They both put all their ideas on creating new apps in there. And then they started creating a new portfolio completely from scratch, using all the latest developing and designing guidelines, and really focusing on the BC SaaS movement that was fully ongoing in those days. And that's actually when Dynavision was born. Um, Now, 3 years later, the development of the app portfolio has been completed for let's say the first phase, and now we're really trying to focus on putting our apps into the market through a partner network. So the focus used to be development, and now we're really ready for that full go-to-market since I think a year and a half that we're focusing on that. And we have also become a fully independent company.
Okay. So when you say first phase, the first phase was converting everything you had in those two partners, converting everything you had as solutions as apps,
Yes,
and
yes,
that is kind of completed, is it?
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we
So
shouldn't expect another 30 apps in the next couple of years.
you never say never, but I think at the moment, Bert, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to try to focus on expanding the apps that we have now. So create more functionality for them, because now we are really trying to capture more requirements from our partners who are using our apps, because sometimes they will notice a gap or an optimization, and then we just take that information they give us and put it in the roadmap, if of course it is useful for the app and for everyone using it. Because Bent is a very strict product owner at the moment, and he,
Okay.
he, he won't put everything in the app you ask.
Yeah, that's
That's a
correct.
good
And
thing. Yeah.
And just one remark, we didn't convert anything of the existing. We used our knowledge about the functionalities and so, but we really started from scratch. So there was, I would say, no single line of code or whatever that was converted. Everything started really from scratch. So
So
that is
no text to AL at all? No text to
no,
AL? So
no,
it's
nothing. Really, we just
okay.
took the functional IDs, the functions, and then we restarted from scratch, and we built them also as separate modules. So we have really a modular approach now. Before we had two verticals, monolith solutions, in fact, and now we built modular blocks. And if you combine a selection of those building blocks, you will get also a vertical solution.
Great, and that's what the apps and extensions were all about, right? Having that particular apps that address a specific part of the business. And yep, I see that in your apps.
Yes.
And some of the apps, some of the apps are like a combination of functions. So some targets. We'll talk about this, but some targets a specific area, like let's say advanced pricing and whatnot.
Yep.
And some of
Hmm.
them they has like a bundle of features.
Yes.
It doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily have to, yeah, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's like, okay, which app would we put it in? Or maybe just put it in the general app, or maybe put it in the finance. The finance one, for example, is something like that. But we'll talk about it later. I understand your point, and I think that's the whole purpose of having apps and AppSource. And so, you guys have purely product development. You don't have projects like direct customers, so you only work partner to partner, is it?
Yes. Yes, we do
Okay.
have sometimes the occasional end customer who wants to work with us straight away. But we always ask the partner, look, your customer contacted us. Do you want us to help you or not? And sometimes they say you can just work with them straight away, but that's not our preference. We
Yeah.
we don't have a large enough team to work with end customers, so we really want to focus on that partner to partner model.
Okay, that's good. So I can't blame the direct customers as well. Reason being, you have a part in your website saying you can't find the app you're looking for. It says we will build your app. So
But it's for the partners. That's a message for the partners,
okay,
not for the
well,
customers.
okay. Well, if I was a customer going into your website, okay, I want them to build this app, and I'll
Yeah,
click on that, and I'll get
I
in touch. So
understand the
no,
confusion.
okay, so this you work with the partner network. So can you talk me through your partner network in terms of the geography? So are you predominantly in Europe, or do you have partners in other continents as well?
Sure. So at the moment, of course, we're mainly working in Europe. So we have the Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, France, Switzerland, Czech Republic. But we also have a lot of partners in the US and Canada. We've noticed that the US market is for some reason um, very valuable for us because the apps that we are selling, like the pricing and discounts, for example, is very popular in the US. We also have a promotions app that's quite popular there because I think the types of companies they have over there, mainly large distribution companies, wholesalers, that's where our apps are very, very powerful. Um, but yeah, we have been in talks with partners from every continent. We're in talks with partners also from New Zealand, from Australia, from South Africa, honestly, from Singapore, all over.
I'm not gonna ask which partner in New Zealand on the show. That's something we'll talk after the show.
Yes, it's
No,
classified.
joking. Yes. No, joking, obviously. Okay, so in terms of your support to the customers, now you mentioned US, and there's a bit of a time difference as well. Do you have dedicated resources there as well, or it's your direct support from wherever you're based? So the time difference, is it become challenging every now and then?
It's maybe challenging if you have to schedule a call with someone from the West Coast where it's like a 9 hour time difference, but we're lucky that most of them are based in the East Coast, so it's a 6 hour time difference that makes the window that we can cooperate a bit larger, but still, yeah, it can be challenging sometimes, to be honest. And we hope to be able to one day also open an office somewhere over there, but at the moment we just have to manage from the office we have in Europe. That's just how it is. We have to grow, we have to learn, and one day we'll be able to cover it, but we haven't had any issues yet at the moment.
Fair enough. In terms of the support portal, I see you guys have a lot of documentation about your apps, so that's quite extensive. So that should be a good enough guide for partners to help customers as well. How much you're involved in the implementation process of your apps. Do you prefer to be in that implementation process, or are you happy to just educate or train the partners and let them do the implementation? So how much you're involved in that implementation process?
The less we have to interfere, the better, to be honest. What we like is a partner that is able to do the implementation himself. So we have had a few partners now that joined our network last year, who demoed the app, sold the app, and then implemented the app without us interfering at any point. Of course, there are always other partners who prefer it if you, for example, if Bernd gives them some pointers in how to give them a demo, if Bernd also tells them how or what they should look at when you're implementing an app, because that gives them some feeling of safety and some more comfort in those implementations. So we have both types of partners.
Okay. In all those stages, if need be, you guys can be heavily involved as well, right? You can provide documentation or, I don't know, some sales materials to help partners to basically close the deal, right? So you guys, okay, but it's not really something you guys prefer. So you
no,
okay,
no, but we want to offer these services to our partners, because of course it helps us expand our portfolio, it helps us sell our portfolio to those partners, and mainly in the beginning sometimes it helps to also build a closer relationship if you are already helping them with sales and pre-sales, with co-marketing opportunities, and then implementation. And honestly, it's always a gift to put someone like Bent in a call with the partner, because he knows what they need immediately and he's able to help them quite fast. So that's also, we're quite lucky with very strong functional and technical people in our organization.
That's good. And when you say the functional knowledge, so that is the finance, then distribution and retail, beverage industry, and then there's general. So these two partners that you mentioned back in the day, they've been more focused on the distribution and drinks and beverage industry, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the two verticals. So there was one vertical, distribution, retail, wholesale, and one vertical, beverages.
Okay. So so that is the area that you guys have a strong domain knowledge. Okay.
Exactly.
Yep. Makes sense. Now we talk about the AppSource a little bit. So most of the leads you get or most of the contacts you get, is it through the AppSource, or are you guys trying to, look into the other platforms as well, like other marketplaces?
We are doing lots and lots of things to get leads, to be honest. So we are, of course, we get our leads through the AppSource, but then you'll notice that those AppSource leads, sometimes the quality isn't always that high. Sometimes there are people who are just trying something out, and then when you contact them, you never hear about them again. So that also happens, of course. So we also do lead campaigns, so email marketing. We're heavily involved on LinkedIn, so we try to share lots of posts about how things are going at Dynavision, new things we've published, new features we have. We do webinars to attract more leads. And then we also do LinkedIn advertising. And at the moment, we are working on many other marketing campaigns.
Yeah, fair enough.
You forgot one. You forgot one important one. We are also at directions that we have.
Ah, right.
Yes, direction. And another one, a very important one actually, we're also a SEER 365 member. So people who use the SEER software will also get in their guide service, also can get hits on Dynavision apps.
That's good. That's plenty, right? That's good to try different channels to get the best of all those words. In terms of the AppSource, can you give me your experience, like an overview of how is it working for you guys? How long so you've been in the AppSource from day one, right? Dynavision was born on AppSource, to my understanding.
Yes.
So that's been like 3 years, more or less. Can you walk me through of your experiences within this 3 years?
Over to you, Bernd.
Are you talking now about the commercial experience or the technical experience, or what?
General experience, your AppSource experience in overall.
In overall, it's a good experience, I would say. Of course, in the beginning, you have to find your technical way into AppSource and what you have to do to get your code, your AppSource ready. You have to follow the rules, of course. We also implemented some pipelines and automatic deployment and so on. So that is something you need to invest in. But today I can say 2 weeks ago we made a big jump with our version of the apps, of all apps. So because we also follow the waves of Microsoft, and we can very easily release all our apps to a new version within half of a day. So if we decide, okay, tomorrow we want to release all the apps to AppSource, yeah, half a day later they are live in AppSource. So the process is working fluently from our side. Also hotfixes and so on. If we today we released a small hotfix for a customer, 30 minutes, and it's an AppSource, and the customer can update the environment with the new app. So that is working very fluently.
Great. So if you have that number of apps, obviously you'll need automation. I mean,
Yes.
even if you have small number of apps, you still need automation. But for you guys, it's even more important because you have a larger portfolio, and so nobody's gonna go AppSource and upload and then go through the technical validation. And that's obviously you need automation. That's great to hear. So let's have a look at maybe let's talk about the update cycle. So you mentioned updates. Do you guys align with Microsoft updates? So you release a new version like every month, a minor one and a major one every 6 months. Do you try to follow that, or you have your own update cycles?
We follow Microsoft, so we keep updated our apps. For example, right now we're already looking at what is due in Business Central 26, because in 1 month it's released to the world. So we are keeping that pace also to maintain our code, or if there are new functionalities that can interact with our functionalities, we will pick them up quite soon. But we don't have a steady pace, I would say, of releasing. We just release whenever we are ready, but the pace is more or less 2 to 3 weeks. We release some new apps, or new version of apps. So we are continuously improving, adding functionality, optimizing, and sometimes a little bug fix, and then we release every 2 weeks.
Last year, Bernd released 28 times, so you can check all the release notes on our blog, where you will see the evidence. 28 releases.
Okay, we believe you. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so let me jump onto the AppSource a little bit and see the apps. So you have, when I look at the Dynavision apps, there is like 35 of them. Although like 29 has this black Dynavision logo, and 6 of them are different. Can you mention a little bit why are they different, those 6?
Yes. So we have, I think, the company app will probably be one of those different apps. That's an app we created as an assignment for another company, so that's not one that is branded Dynavision wise. Then I believe we also have the gradient one in there, which we have discontinued. And then there are some apps in there as well. So that is old IP, which we aren't distributing anymore, but that's just still on there for historic reference for us. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep. And there is this POM payment and AppSquad connector. Those are Okay.
So those are also apps we've created in co-creation with those 2 companies. So for example, AppSquad is a CPQ software, and we created a connector between BC and that CPQ software. So that's why it's branded in the AppSquad logo. And then POM, it's a payment service which allows you to add QR codes on your invoices. So you can scan them, and then you will immediately have the right data, and you will pay the right amount of money immediately. But also that's also branded to them, because they also have quite a strong name in the Belgian market.
Oh, I see. Okay, and that's the reason it doesn't have the Dynavision logo. So I'll try to go through the apps briefly.
Okay.
So it starts with advanced pricing and discounts, and that will be the app that we'll dive into a little bit. So by the first look, I see almost all of your apps, they have ratings.
Yes.
Right? And this is not something we see quite often. Partners ISVs usually struggle to get ratings or comments. How do you manage this? Do you have spies that anonymously leave ratings?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Very good strategy.
Just to give you maybe some context on that perspective, because of course we want to be completely open as an ISV. So we are part of the Alistair Technology Group, which is a large group, about, I think by now, 10 companies, 700 people working there, mainly in Dynamics. So this group consists out of Dynavision, which is of course an ISV, and then 9 other partners who do CRM implementations, they do BC implementations, they do e-commerce implementations, and some of the partners in our group are of course also using our apps, and we remind them that we would like to have some reviews if they really like the app. So that's why we were able to get some honest reviews from those people, because it's easy for us to ask them, and they are actually also using those apps, so they know how they should experience it.
Completely fair. This was a setup question because this is something we discussed before as well, that I saw the same name and it looked like attached to Dynavision. So just to clear that up, I asked this question. So thank you for explaining that. Okay, let's have a look at the apps. So when I go to your website, I see that apps are quite neatly grouped. But when I go to AppSource, it's a bit kind of all over the place. Like think of a supermarket that the milk is next to the meat, and next to meat there is like a, I don't know, cleaning product, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So it's, but you obviously you don't have any input on this, right? You don't have any influence in terms of the sorting. So okay, I'll go through the apps as they have been sorted in AppSource.
Okay.
So that's advanced pricing and discount, that we'll talk later. That has 10 ratings. That's not something you see quite often, to be honest.
It's a very good app, Ararat, so of course they have 10 ratings.
We'll see about that. We'll talk about that. And yep, I had a look a little bit. It's extremely feature rich, but yeah, we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah.
Then there is Dynavision Connect. So this kind of a connection hub in terms of FTP, SFTP, or print node. Was it this one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
In fact, all our apps have one common library. That's what we call our core library. And in the core library, we have technically functions that are used by different apps. We use also that core library to communicate between the different apps, to integrate some functions. And we have some common functionality like print node integration, an FTP integration, and so on. And in fact, every time that you install one of our apps, you will get the core also installed, and it's for free. But we have we had some requests from partners. I just want to have, for example, the FTP together with the print node. So then we created also the core app as a Connect app. So that's the reason why it's in there.
Okay, so it makes sense, and probably it's priced at that from that perspective as well. So
yes,
granted, when I have the Dynavision advanced pricing and discounts, I get the core / Connect as well, which will have this functionality.
Yes.
However, if I only want the Connect, I will obviously pay less, right? So that's okay.
Exactly.
I understand. So that comes. So is this the only app, or are we going to talk about other apps that's part of that core, or the Connect?
That's the only app. So we have one core library for all apps, and because we have some functionality that was interesting for some partners, so we said, okay, we make one app of that also, and it's quite low price. I don't know the prices. That's Jens' his business, but it's a cheap one.
Exactly.
The prices are not public, right? So people need to get in touch with you to talk about the pricing. Yep, that's good.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. And then it follows with NP Retail Connector. So this is a connection with a point of sale solution called NP. So if anyone's interested, there's Dynavision Advanced Finance BE. This is Belgium specific, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And there's Dynavision Rental and Consumption. This rental and consumption app is basically managing event, and this is dedicated to, again, beverage industry.
Yes, right? This is very specific for the beverage industry. So we do get lots of questions like, does it also work for machinery or equipment? And then the answer is no, it does not work for machinery or equipment, because that app is it's for a very specific concept actually. So in Belgium, you have lots of breweries and drink distributors who also cater to parties like weddings and stuff like that. So they cater their drinks to them, but they also sometimes have a stock of tables and taps and fridges which they also rent out. So the app is meant to also manage that process of renting out those types of stuff.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And it follows with Dynavision layouts. This is a set layout that for any sales or warehouse and service documents that
That's
that
one
comes
of
with a
our
bit more configurable aspect, right? Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
That's honestly one of the apps that helps partners save lots and lots of euros or dollars or pounds or whatever in an implementation phase, because we all know that creating a document layout in BC, if you have to develop it, it takes some time.
Yeah.
Developers don't like it, so we
Yeah.
created an app for that, so you could do it in a functional setup, and you can create your layouts in under half an hour. For example, we've had recently a case where a partner, in their first estimate without the app, they had a budget of 60,000 euros to create document layouts.
Yeah.
It worked quite a lot. It was quite complex. With the app, they were able to bring it down to 12,000 euros. So
That's
only a
good.
fifth.
Yeah. Reporting is usually traditionally the most time consuming development aspect,
exactly.
probably. That has been my experience too, but so it's okay. When I look at the screenshots of the app, so it is quite configurable in terms of which value you want to see in which aspect of the document layout, and that's quite good. Yeah, I can see how it can be time saving for the customers. Then you have Dynavision Advanced Units. This is again for a drink and beverage part of the things, or
Ben, maybe you can take that one.
It's more in the distribution where specific items are sold. For example, a good example is floor coverings. I don't know if you know those floor coverings down the other side of the world, but we have, especially in Europe, you have floor coverings, so the laminate, as they call it, that's
yes,
where you put on the floor, and they are sold in packages. But in fact, you're buying them in square meters. So you want to keep your logistic units in the packages or in the pallets of packages or in the boxes of packages, but you want to calculate in square meters. If a customer is coming, I need 12 square meters. You have an easy way to calculate how many packages he needs, and then you will, for example, have 11.7 packages. You will not tear open one package, but you will just say, okay, we round it to the next level. So it's 12 packages I will sell, and then it's 12.3 square meters. So you have a little bit of spare tiles or whatever.
Yep, I got it. No, it's a really good explanation. It adds a really nice layer to the unit of measure controls, and yep, that's really good. And then you have Dynavision Sync. So this is kind of a master data sync as we have in the standard application as well. So that's why maybe I'm not going to dive too much into this. So this lets people sync perhaps a bit more configurable than what we have in the standard. And then there is Dynavision Planning and Dispatch. This make your order taking, planning, and dispatching smarter using customer special dates. Okay, also quite specific app, right?
Yeah, that's actually it's an app for every company who has their own transportation services. They can manage all those processes around that with this application. So it's also a very extensive app.
Okay. Maybe it can be the subject of the next episode. And then we have Advanced Finance. So this was the app I was referring, right? So this has a whole bunch of functionalities that's within the area of finance, and you will find like small additions like purchase order number using get receipt lines, or you add some field on fixed asset, value details on fixed asset list. So this is like all small utility things in the finance area of the application. Yep.
In fact, we have two apps that work together. We have the Advanced Finance Worldwide Edition, I would say, there are limited of functionalities in there, and the biggest part is in the finance BE. That's the Belgium localization that we are there extending for the finance part, because I would say the Belgian bookkeepers are a very special kind of people.
Yes.
Oh, they're special all around the world, believe me.
Yeah, but in Belgium it's very special, and they really have a big need for functionality that standard BC is not offering. So, and
Okay, got
we
it.
put everything that they need in there, and it's really the finance app. It's sold by a lot of Belgian partners now, because
Yeah.
every Belgian partner was making something similar, and now
Fair enough. Yep, got it. No, good to know. And then there is Dynavision Cloud Postlight, also a point of sale integration. Then you have Advanced Sync, which is this time it does the sync across tenants. So the previous one was doing it across environments, but this does it across tenants as well. So if you want to sync your master data through different tenants, then Dynavision Layouts Canada, so that's Canada specific layouts. Dynavision reusable packaging. Okay, this reusable packaging is also, I guess, wholesale and distribution, part of the wholesale and distribution. No?
This lets you track all the packaging that you have that has a certain value for your organization. So, for example, like here, it comes from the beverage sector. Like in Belgium, your glass bottles, they have a value for your organization, and you want to retrieve them after they have been consumed. Once the drinks, of course, once the bottles are empty, you want to get them back and then use them again.
I see, like the vending machine and
yes,
okay.
Yeah. But you can do the same for like pallets or containers or any type of packaging that you want to retrieve again because it has a value for your company that can be tracked with that app.
Okay, got it. No, good stuff. Then there is Dynavision Trade. So this seems like a more broader kind of.
Yeah. It's our Swiss Army knife, that app. Yeah, I'm going to let Ben take this one because he's the master of the Swiss Army knife.
It's a Swiss Army knife. If you think about purchasing and selling things in BC, there is already a lot of functionality, but there is quite often a little bit of functionality missing somewhere in BC, and that's all put into that. And then, of course, there are some bigger parts also that we put in there, but in fact, it's the solution for everybody working with purchase, sale, so retail and wholesale and so on.
Yeah, it has over 50 features that optimize your flows.
Yeah, wow. There's quite a few. There's again extensive documentation on your website. So if anyone's interested, they can find that app in dynavision.app and find that app to read documentation. Then there is Robinson 365. This is a modular solution that automates wholesalers and trade. This Robinson 365, does it include some part of other apps as well?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. It's actually a combination of 10 apps that are put together, and Robinson is more, it's a commercial AppSource listing. So it's not an app in itself, but it's just a combination of 10 apps that are part of our portfolio.
In fact, it's a dummy app for our old vertical. That was the name of the old vertical. And it's a dummy app just to have the visibility if people are looking for the app, because they know the name in Belgium. They are looking at AppSource and they are looking for the solution. They will find it. And if you install it, you will get a list of the 10 apps you need, the 10 modules you need to build the vertical. And there is a second app like that, and that's the Drink Master app.
Yeah.
Yes. That was my next question. Maybe we'll come there in a few apps later. So there is this advanced item and price import. I assume this would work well with the advanced pricing and discounts.
Yes,
exactly.
Yep. And then do you have cross-selling? Dynavision cross-selling. Do you want fries with that? That's the cross-selling, right?
Yes.
Yep, that's good to have an app for that. And then you have excise duties.
Yes.
Excise duties. Okay. I think this is the one you mentioned that there was some interest in New Zealand, is it? And
exactly. In New Zealand, in Australia, in Germany, in many different countries. So this one
is it similar with Belgium a little bit? The excise duties?
So more or less.
Our excise duties comes from our beverage history, and in first place for the Belgian/European excise calculation. But in fact, it's surprising when we went back to the redrawing board to create the app. We made it very flexible, and we can now handle New Zealand excise. We can handle Australian excise. We did it a few weeks ago. German excise, and also in Canada we can handle it. So it's quite flexible.
That's good. That's good. And then the next one is the Drink Master 365. This is also a traditional naming, Drink Master, is it? Okay. Yep, that's good. And this also comes with a bundle of apps that actually serves the beverage industry. Yep, got it. And then you have contributions and declarations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So what this does is use the flexible app to help you with all kind of surtaxes. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, for example, in Belgium, when you're selling electrical appliances, you have to pay a certain surcharge to the government because you're selling electrical appliances or because they contain batteries. With this app, you can manage the amount you have to pay in taxes or in surtaxes, and then you can also keep a ledger of those surtaxes you paid, so you can report that to the government.
Okay, yep, sounds good. And then you have drag and drop, Dynavision drag and drop. This, it's
very
drag
cool
and drop
app.
Documents. Pardon?
It's a
very
simple
cool
drag and drop add-on, I would say, on the document attachments of Business Central. So you have a visualization of the drag and drop, and also we can then export. I would say the attachment normally are stored in the database of Business Central, but with that app you can also connect it to an Azure Blob Storage, an Azure File System, or to a SharePoint.
SharePoint,
Yep. Okay, that's the difference, I guess, right? Because we have the drag and drop in the standard application now as well. Yep. That's good. That's good. And then you have the advanced promotions. It says handle the craziest promotions you can imagine. Whoa, that's good. All right.
exactly.
And then it's in the name, so I don't really need to go too much into
exactly.
it. And then purchasing and procurement center. Optimize your centralized purchasing strategy. So if anyone's looking for a centralized purchasing strategy in the Business Central environment, they might want to have a look at this
app.
one. Okay. All right. So all your apps, they have leading the partner or the whoever's logging into the AppSource, it's leading to your contact us part, right? So it doesn't really go to. So that's what you want. You want people to contact you first, and then you guide them through the app, or you want to inform them. So it doesn't really open up the documentation for that document, or
normally all our apps are also available for free install, so you should be able to install them straight away from the AppSource.
100%. I'm speaking about so when you go into an app, there's the details and support section, and there's under support, you have support and help. And you're right, they all have free trials, which is perfect. And people can try it out, and if they like it, they keep using. If they don't, they can just ditch it. That's a brilliant strategy. So what I'm talking about, under details and support, there is this support and help. So when they click on either support or help, it opens up the contact us. So that's what I wanted to ask. Do you want people? Is this intentional? So rather than putting the documentation of that app, because you have really extensive documentation for advanced pricing and discounts, there is a document 55 pages long. So rather than putting it there,
I think that you have discovered an optimization we could do on the AppSource, to be honest.
I can explain. I can explain why we do it like this. We don't want to update every 2 weeks documentation on AppSource, because that's something you need to do manually. And we store our documentation centrally in an Azure file system. And if you install an app, you have a Dynavision setup page where you have the licensing, where you can activate a trial, for example. And there you can download all the necessary documentation for the apps that you have installed in your environment. So you can download the documentation from in your Business Central, and it's always the latest documentation that is uploaded together with our release.
That's good. So Jens, are you convinced?
It's because we are smart and lazy, apparently. So that's why we are doing it like that.
No, fair enough. But it's not very difficult to find the documentation anyway. I like your website. It's quite simple and just everything is quite clear to find. So in every app has its own dedicated page, gives you a lot of information, and underneath you can find user guides, which is quite extensive. And now let's dive into the advanced pricing and discounts apps. So I heard you somewhere else that you mentioned that this was your best selling app last year. And why do you think that is?
Honestly, because I think it gives you a lot. It just gives you lots of flexibility in the pricing perspective, and that's something that lots of end customers are really looking for because they want to avoid that BC always uses the lowest price. They want to automate their sales price list calculation. They need margin calculation. They need extra discount types, but it's just because it's like a big collection of very useful features.
Okay, we'll dive into those features. There's quite a bit to cover actually. And before that, so this is purely based on the new sales price experience, and
Yes.
it has been an experience, all right? It's been released on 2020 to go
Yes.
live with the go live date of 2022. So when I say go live, it's from the future management becomes mandatory, but it's been sitting in future management for 5 years now, I guess. But in this release, if I'm not wrong, in this release it will be now. No,
No,
is it
no,
postponed again?
it's postponed again last month by Microsoft.
Okay. All right.
So
So it's okay. It will be mandatory next release.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, customers. I think everyone's getting all of them are ready for the. It's gonna happen, and
yeah,
but okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. Then it will reveal what covers this advanced pricing and discounts covers that the new sales price experience cannot, or what because the idea of new sales price experience, I think the best part was to have your own implementations, like to have your
yes.
own logic implemented on top of it, and I can see your app leverages that fully. But why do you think that new sales price experience itself has been taken so long? Right, and how did you find working on that experience,
Okay.
because it's tightly coupled with the standard, right, your app?
Yes. So yeah, all our apps we tied to the standard functionality of BC. That's important for us. So 3 years or 4 years ago, when we started our adventure, we knew that we needed some additional pricing features that are not covered by standard BC. And then, okay, because as you said, the new pricing experience was launched by Microsoft, and they also announced that it would be enforced at a certain moment. So there we said, okay, if we start the development anyway, we will start immediately on the new pricing experience. We will not first build something on the old experience and then after 2 years rebuild everything. From a cost perspective, that would be not so smart. So we decided new pricing experience. From a technical point of view, if I talk to the developers, they all say that the way of implementing the new calculation methods with the interfaces and all is very nice. They say it's technically a good solution. If I look at the new pricing experience from a functional point of view, sometimes it's a painful experience, I would say, in the beginning, because there is some additional logic, and you have to get the knowledge about the new pricing. So if you are working in Business Central, as many of the consultants and users also for years over, I worked more than 10 years in Business Central. So the first time you look at the new pricing experience, you're lost because you don't know what has changed.
Yeah, the UX, the user experience has been changed, right? So we're making a bit more clicks now. So we
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to the list, and from the list we open the sales price
yeah,
card. There's the header and lines. It looks quite
yes,
neat, but there's
yes,
just a bit of additional steps. And back in the day, it was just you open up the sales price and you you just edit it straight away. So we kind of lost that
yeah.
convenience a little bit.
And also there are sometimes some strange things happening from the user experience. It's a mistake that you can make very easily is you insert a new line in the price list with an empty item with a price not entered. So you get a line with item price for the item empty. That means in the new pricing experience for all items. And then because the price is not filled in, it's price zero. So that's the lowest price. So all your items of all the sales orders get the price zero. And then the support uh, department of the partner gets a phone call from the customer. All my prices are zero. And you can solve it very easily by looking for that line and deleting it, and it's solved. So one of the things that we also offer in our advanced pricing, we added a check. If you create by mistake a line like this in your price list, you will get a notification. So are you sure that you want to insert a line with no item and with price zero?
Okay. So you mean, so a confirmation message will pop up saying, okay, the control. No,
So
makes sense. So
we optimize the user experience of the new Microsoft way also by adding some functionality, by adding some checks, and by giving some additional warnings.
that's good. So what else it can do to improve the new sales price experience?
To improve the new sales, as you said, you have to do more clicks right now. You have to go into the price list, you have to enter, you have to insert a new line, and then if the price list is already active, you get the verify button. You need to verify your newly inserted line, and it will check if there is no, I would say, double entry in the price list, and then you can decide which one you want to delete. So what we, for example, created also is what we call the easy management page, where you see from the item card, you can open that page and you see in two sections your purchase prices and your sales prices. And if you want, you can directly enter into that page also a new line, and we will do the verification automatically. So you do less clicks, and you see in one page all the necessary information.
That's great. It needed a bit more love in terms of
Yes.
the user experience. I think that was the main one of the main feedbacks it received from the community, and might be one of the main reasons that it's been delayed. And also development wise, the technical wise, there's a new way of doing things in terms of the code and interfaces. So if you're not familiar with it, you might find it challenging to extend those functionalities. However, it's also extremely powerful to extend. And
yes,
your actually app is a pre-extended version of it. So you leverage that in terms of implementing the hierarchies.
yes.
And when you install the app, it will come with a selection of lowest price or the hierarchy. So can you talk me through a little bit how does that work, the lowest price versus hierarchies?
Yes, with the hierarchical prices, so we have quite a lot of cases, especially in the beverage sector, where they will make a sales price based on a price group. So, for example, for the B2B customers or for the B2C customers, a price group. But then in some occasions, they want to apply a customer-specific price, which should be higher than the price in the price group of that customer. So they want that flexibility. So our calculation method will allow that. You can go through the hierarchy. It will first look for a customer specific price. If it finds the price, it will take that and it will stop the logic. It will not go in the next step. If no customer price is found, it will go into the price group and so on. So it's a cascading system.
Great. And that is also configurable, right? It's not necessarily the customer. So you might prioritize other levels of pricing in your hierarchy as well. So it's not only because there's a customer specific price and it picks up the customer price. You might actually, I don't know, prioritize customer price group, or maybe, I don't know. There are different layers that you can configure, right?
What quite often happens, so we have a standard prioritization list, but what quite often happens is that the campaign level is put on the first level, because then you can do some very nice setup with to also cover some exceptions.
Great, but each business might have their own unique needs, and the app is the most important thing for me. Is the app is flexible enough to cater for all those unique needs. Okay, what else? So hierarchy, and so different layers of pricing, and you don't have to be stuck with the best price, because sometimes the best price is not the lowest price.
Exactly.
And what else does it do?
Another thing that we, for example, this afternoon also help the partner with is on your customer, you can insert in a field the price from customer field. So, and that field is inherited on your sales document, for example. And so you can overrule the bill to customer just for the price calculation.
That's good. Okay.
So because a sell to and a bill to customer, it is the bill to customer that is driving the pricing. But we enable also something to overrule the bill to customer just for the pricing mechanism. So, and then again, you can have some very flexible setup for that.
Yep, another good feature. So that's pricing. What else with pricing? I know there's a few for discounts as well. So before we jump into the discounts, what else is there for the pricing?
For the pricing, one very powerful thing is what we call the advanced price calculations. That's not about how the pricing mechanism is working, but that's generating, calculating, updating your sales prices. So most of the time you receive a purchase price or you have a purchase cost of an item or a manufacturing cost or whatever. And based on that cost, you can then do a setup with formulas and say, okay, for that customer price group, I want to apply a margin or a markup of that amount or that percentage. And I want to calculate that automatically over a job queue and then apply that in my price list as new prices.
Good. And that can be different costs as well, right? So it can be the last cost or the, I don't know, average cost, or there can be different costs that you can take reference.
Yes.
And all right, that's great. And so how about discounts? So what does it offer in terms of the discounts? So what is advanced about the discounts?
Yeah, the discounts standard in BC, you have a percentage that you can apply. We have a combined percentage. That's something very specific in some markets where you can say, I want 2 plus 3 plus 2% of discount. And that's not 7% discount, it's 2%, then again 3, and then again 2. But we will recalculate that, and that it's 6.7 and something percent of discount. But you can enter 2 plus 3 plus 2, and you can also print that on your layout then. And we can also do a discount amount per unit or a discount amount on the line just.
Okay, that sounds quite powerful as well. So there's a lot of configuration, there's a lot of possibilities that can be done. So how about the simulation of it? So does users have the ability to play with the prices and see the structure, and can they simulate that scenarios basically?
We have what we call a price simulation in the system, where you can just say, I want this customer with this item, this amount, this unit of measure. So what you would enter on the sales document, for example, and then you can press simulate, and then you will see the result of the calculation. And for example, if you use best price, you will see 5 lines for that item, and then you will see which line has the best price and is selected by the system. So you can use that price simulation to check something. Functional consultants will use that from time to time to see if the setup is working. But we also use that simulation for other stuffs, because we also have a print. For example, we can print a sales price list. So you can say for that customer, this range of items, I want to print a sales price list. What will it do, in fact, in reality? It will use that simulation in the background to calculate the prices on a specific date for that customer and for the items. And then it will generate a report.
Nice. It gives a good overview of the existing prices. And okay, that's a lot of features there. So there's a lot of pricing and discount apps out there, right? And it's an area that customers need and partners are investing in. What do you think that the most powerful feature of your app that differentiates it from the rest?
That's a tough question.
That's a difficult one.
Do you want me to edit this section out?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think the powerful part is that it's configurable. As you said, you can do a lot of configuration. You have a lot of control over the functionality, and it's in the pricing app like that. But it's a global philosophy that we are following. That the consultant should be able to configure an app to achieve the result he wants. So you don't need a developer to tweak the logic. You need a functional consultant who can tweak the parameters and the configuration and the setup to get the right result. That is how we approach it. And that's also exactly in the advanced pricing what is making it very powerful, because we also have something like margin calculation, that you can calculate the margin, but you can set up your own formula how you want to calculate a margin and how you want to see it on your sales order with a threshold in red and green if you are over or below the threshold and whatever, but you can configure it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's a flexibility that's very powerful.
great. Before I ask the same question to you, Jens, I'm laughing because I had this when I work as a developer as well, so I remember certain cases. A functional consultant comes to me saying, "All right, can you look at the code and tell me why this price is in my sales document?" Because it was so it was so complicated and they didn't make sense out of it. And they asked me to, "All right, have a look. Why is this price is flowing?" And so that you might so it's good that people have that visibility, and it's good that it's that flexible, so that functional consultants can do their thing. That's good. And Jens, what do you think in terms of the strongest point of the say advanced pricing in this concept?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's, as Bernd mentioned, of course, the flexibility for both for the consultant and even for the key user, because we noticed that also some good key users are using our apps very fluently. And then on top of that, it's just because it's part of the dynavision portfolio. And then that's more of like from a commercial standpoint. Some partners, they like to limit the number of ISVs they work with together. And as we have quite a broad range of applications, it's quite nice to work with us because they can select many different apps. And of course, if they see that we have a pricing and discounts app, they will pick ours above a pricing and discounts app from another partner, because it would mean that they would have to set up another partnership again, have those talks again, have to build the trust again. So I think that's also why this pricing and discounts app for us is working quite well.
Okay, that's a different and quite a good point as well. Yeah, I like that perspective. Yep, that makes sense. Wow, that's 1 hour already, and
time is flying by. How is Club Brugge doing right now? How's the football going? Let's see.
I don't know.
I have to check real quick.
Yeah.
But
it's looking tough. It's 0-0, but they're playing 10 men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Let's focus on the podcast and let's forget the football.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, they had a very tough task anyway. So, okay, we talked about the app, and let's talk about a bit about the technical stuff. So there's a lot of apps that you guys are managing, and so you guys need to be smart, a lot of automation and a lot of smarter tools to use in your DevOps. Can you talk us through the tools that you guys use to develop and maintain your apps a little bit?
Yeah, we use DevOps for creating from the functional side the user stories, what we want to be developed. We can assign it then to the developer. He gets it into his queue, and then he can work on that. Of course, we work in a close relation. Sometimes the user story is quite short, where we give the high level picture, and then we have a sort of brainstorm where we discuss how we want to tackle it, if we can cooperate with another app together or something like that. Just a brainstorm, and then the developer can make it. They check it in then, of course, if they have developed it, and twice a day our test server is updated in the evening and in the morning. No, at noon and in the evening, that's correct. So twice a day we receive on our test server the new developed functionality, and we can start testing. We have also, I would say, it's a work in progress, but we have quite some auto testing already also on our apps. So when the developers are developing functionality, they will also, if it's a small feature or field somewhere, we will not do it. But if in the advanced pricing, for example, we have quite some automatic testing that we continuously run when we are deploying to our test server, just to check that nothing is broken. Also, if a new version from Microsoft is coming, we can see it immediately if something is broken there.
So that test server you mean is that's not the developers' work. That's where the developers push their features.
Yes.
So for your functionals to test those
Yes.
features. And when the developers work in their isolated environment, is it usually the Docker containers you use, or each they have their own database? How do you manage that?
They use their own Docker containers and sometimes also a CDX sandbox for some cases. Yeah.
Okay.
But Docker containers are quite of use, yes.
All right. Is there like a managed solution around that, or every developer on its own to manage their Docker containers kind of a thing?
Every developer has his own thing, but they have their scripts and so on that they share. It's standardized how they're using it. So
okay, yeah, that's good. And so you mentioned tests. So would you say that? So do you guys have code reviews?
They are, yeah. Each I would say each feature that they develop, each pull request that they are pushing into the database. So in DevOps is a code review. They are checking each other, and it's only if they pass the code review that it's passing to the test server. So
okay. So in the code reviews, do you accept test code units, test logic with the feature itself, or does it really depend on? So you mentioned not each time. It depends.
Yeah, it depends. Okay. It depends. But if it depends also about in what functionality area that we are working. But for example, we once did something really in the warehousing where we cover all the types of warehouse shipment without pick, with mandatory bins, without mandatory bins. So that's a lot of test work. So that's automated. That we don't need to care about that anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. And also, if your app touches a lot of the standard, it's also a good idea to test those standards as well, right?
Yeah.
Nope. Yep. Get that. I get that. So in terms of the extensibility of your app, so there's no app that covers 100% of everything. There's always going to be a business that will need that extra thing. Yes. And that's where the partners kick in with their PTs. Yeah. So how easy for a partner to extend your app? Do they have that sort of technical visibility? Do you have that sort of technical documentation that they can see the events that has been published so that they can subscribe? Or do they need some sort of collaboration with you to understand the logic behind where to subscribe?
At this moment, they need some kind of collaboration with us. It's not that we have a big technical documentation on that part, but we are open, we are extendable. Not all our functions are set public by default. Most of the time, we keep them first internally, and on a request, we will open the functionality. But that's mainly to keep life a little bit easy with breaking changes and that kind of stuff. It's not that we have a secret, but it's just to keep life a little bit easy for us.
No, I understand that. And okay, in terms of you mentioned you use Azure DevOps. In terms of your CI/CDs, obviously you test your apps. You mentioned that for the next major releases and that sort of things. And do you use a managed solution for that, or did you guys build your own pipelines?
No, we have it's ILOps, or how it's called. Yeah, it's ILOps that we are using. Yes.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
we also
top.
Yeah, and we did also experiment a little bit with I'll go for GitHub just to look where they are standing at this moment. But at this moment, we are still working with ILOps.
Yep, that's great. If you're on Azure DevOps, it's one of the best solutions you can use for your CI/CD solution. That's great. And okay, is there telemetry? Do you guys use telemetry? Do you send custom signals from your apps?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, you periodically, one of our devs will also check the telemetry. Then, if we have long running queries or things like that, and then we can optimize if necessary the code.
Is it a tool just to troubleshoot for you, or does it also have an influence in your decision making, like checking which areas have been used underutilized? So there might be a feature that you think that this should be a really good feature, people should be using, but you see with the telemetry that's not being. So
not actively at this moment. We know that we can do, and sometimes we take a look, but it's not really driving our decisions on this moment. But most of the time we use it to preemptive solve problems that might occur. So
that makes sense. Great. Is there anything else you want to add from the technical aspect of developing or maintaining your apps?
the only thing, it's a little bit to do with extensibility, but in another part, what we also will do is in every app, if we add tables and that kind of stuff, or if we add a new ledger for something, we will also put immediately that information in APIs in the app, so that all that information is available to be used in Power BI or some other reporting tool or whatever. That's something that we
great.
also do immediately if we develop something.
That's great in terms of the connectivity of your apps. That's really good to know. Okay, so that's a lot, an hour and 6 minutes. Sorry for taking a lot of your time, but I'll try to wrap it up quite quickly. There's an aspect I want to talk with each ISV in terms of the collaboration. I think it's quite important. Do you have any comments on the collaboration between Microsoft and ISVs? Especially you guys are building a lot of apps. Does it require insights from Microsoft in terms of your building new apps, and how does it work right now?
At the moment, we don't really get insights from Microsoft as you're not really publishing their specific roadmap, so to say.
Yeah.
So, of course, it can happen that sometimes one of our apps at some point will become obsolete. That's something we know. That is why we try to keep on working on that app portfolio and keep on expanding it. But we do think and we do value our relationship with Microsoft very much. Of course, also as a larger group with lots of Dynamics partners in there, really keep a tight relationship with Microsoft both in Belgium and Netherlands, and we are trying to build up a better relationship with Microsoft in other regions and countries as well, as of course they are for us a very important player in the Dynamics field.
Of course. Okay. In terms of future, so is there anything cool cooking in your lab that you guys can give us a sneak peek, or any new features that you guys are building, or a new app?
Maybe, Ben, this is a good one for you to take because it involves a bit of our philosophy as well. That's important
but it's all also what is cooking in the lab. Sometimes I give a little presentation like that. No, so from time to time, partners ask us what is your roadmap, and in fact, I always have to disappoint the people. We don't have a roadmap longer than 2 weeks, to be honest. But if I get a request that is important for the partner, and it's important for the partner to get the deal or whatever, and it fits right now in our planning, we can act very fast.
Yeah,
and that's also
so it's more our yeah, please.
That's also one of our, I would say, big points. If we get a good request, that is also valuable for a broader audience. So for other partners too, we will very quickly react on that. We will not tell, okay, we have already a roadmap for 6 months. You have to wait for 7 months before we will start thinking about your request. And you will always get very fast an answer from us. Yes, we do it. No, we don't do it. Or you can extend it, or you can configure the app like this. That has also happened, that we say you can configure like this, and you make a small PTE, a small custom solution, and your problem is solved. And we don't need to implement something that we don't see as a broad feature for everybody.
Exactly. So we do have like a large backlog of features that we can implement, of course, but we prefer to really listen to the market and see how we can quickly help our partners and their customers, because this is also helping them win deals, of course, always if the requested requirement is of value for everyone using the app. That's always the first question that we have to ask ourselves.
That's great. Is there like a public page that people can see? Not that backlog, obviously, but some ideas and that sort of thing, like the BC ideas page. Do you that sort of a thing that people can ask?
That's something that will be on our roadmap.
The marketing roadmap.
The marketing roadmap. Exactly.
Has a roadmap.
Yeah. We do have a very extensive marketing roadmap with lots of things that are being planned, and a partner portal with those types of functionality that's on there as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have anything to add in terms of your app portfolio, or I don't know, for yeah, is there any comments to add? I'm trying to wrap it up a little bit. Then I'll give you the contact information, and then
Sure.
we'll close with the closing words.
Go to AppSource, install our apps, and try them out. That's all the feedback we can give. We are not, we don't want to be an ISV that pushes our apps into the market. We just want to make sure that everyone knows who we are and what we are doing, and then it's up to them to see if the apps are something they need or not, because it doesn't really help for us to push apps and projects if they aren't going to be used. Then nobody's happy to pay for functionality that they're not using. So honestly, for us, we want to make sure that everyone knows who we are, which apps we have. If they have questions, we are always open for to get into a call, to answer via mail. We are very flexible, very responsive, and then again, it's up to the partner and the customer to decide if that app is a match with their requirements. So that's really how we want to work.
Great. Bernd, do you have any comments before we go?
It was okay,
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. It's very kind of you.
Oh my god, yeah, brilliant. Okay, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, AppSource is definitely the way. And what are the other ideal ways to get in touch with you guys?
They can also surf to dynavision.app and click on the contact button, and there they can leave their message, or they can send me an email at jens.decolvenaer@dynavision.be. But they probably will spell my name wrong, so I suggest they go to the website to fill in the contact form.
I know exactly how it feels.
Yeah, I can imagine. Honestly.
I'll put those. Yeah. I'll put those under the episode description so that people can have
perfect.
that visibility.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining. It's been a long episode, but I think it was a great conversation. I really appreciate the time. It was a great night, for you guys night. For me, it's not yet. Yeah. But it was really great. It was great time for the podcast. I hope it was for Dynavision as well, but not so much for Club Bruges, unfortunately.
No, that's but at least we had this nice podcast. Maybe before we close off, can I take a quick picture of us in this podcast? If we have a thumbs up or whatever. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Great stuff. All right.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for joining, Bernd, Jens. I really appreciate your time, and thanks everyone for listening. This podcast. Hope you get to know Dynavision app portfolio better, get to know the people behind the apps, how they take care of their apps, and a bit more insight about. Hopefully, we got about the advanced pricing and discounts as well. Thanks everyone for joining the show, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Arat. It was lots of fun.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
You too, man. You too. Bye.
Bye.